I'm getting up close and personal today because I want to talk about the struggles that I have had as a photographer and business owner with ADHD. And I also want to share the coping strategies that have worked and have made my life easier and have helped me. I do think this will help people with ADHD, but even if you don't have ADHD and you're struggling with your productivity, your focus, your organization, I think that my tips will help you. You know, if you have ADHD, that it's not just that hyperactive thing that people have always said, it's actually an executive dysfunction disorder. So you're struggling with things like processing information, organizing, impulsivity, and consistency, motivation, focus, or too much focus, or too little focus. It's way more complicated than people realize. And if you're a photographer, it can be impacting things like your ability to plan shoots, talk to clients, send invoices on time, develop some consistent methods of dealing with clients that are going to make your business pleasant for them to work with. I know it's challenging, but there are definitely ways to approach each challenge to make your life a little easier. So the number one thing that I struggle with is procrastination. And this is really common with a lot of people, especially if you have ADHD, and it can keep you from hitting your deadlines. The way that I deal with this is by setting firm deadlines. I just have no concept of time. I need to set a firm date and hold myself accountable for hitting that deadline. And that external pressure of having a client makes that easier. And so I make sure that I always have a client or a sponsor, or that I'm working with someone else so that I can tell them an exact date I'm going to get them something. And that external pressure forces me to not procrastinate forever, because otherwise it just might never get done. Speaking of that, with all of my videos, I always have them sponsored, you've noticed, and my sponsor today is Squarespace, and if it weren't for them, I may have never filmed this. I also like Squarespace because when I started making my own website, the process was really overwhelming and abstract. I was using WordPress, there was a lot of just text, and I actually never finished making my website. When I stumbled upon Squarespace, it was so easy. It was like drag and drop. It had that nice instant gratification. It was really clean and simple and not distracting. And I was able to complete my website within 20 minutes or a half hour or something like that, or at least a basic version of it. So if you're looking for something to do that's simple, you could make your own Squarespace website, and they have a 14-day free trial. I also have a 10% off coupon if you use my name, Chelsea. That is my sponsor for the video, but sponsors do keep me in line. So if you are not able to get a sponsor like I am, get clients. If you're not able to get clients, volunteer for someone else and set deadlines for yourself. Tell your client so that then you feel that pressure to actually meet your deadlines. Another thing a lot of people struggle with is consistent focus and motivation. So one week you might be on fire. You're doing all this extra work, you're getting everything done. And then next week you just don't even want to pick up your camera. You don't want to edit, you don't want to do anything. It can be so frustrating to know that you're capable and you feel like you're just walking in sand trying to get any little thing done. It's so frustrating, but I found ways to help myself break out of it. It's similar to that external pressure that I use with deadlines. You're setting up clients, you're setting up sponsors, you have this external pressure to get it done. In this instance, you want to use an external structure. And so you can do things like sign up for classes that you're going to a weekly photography class to keep you motivated. Even if you think it's too easy for you or too difficult for you, just doing it regularly is what's more important. You could join a photo group, either an online group. I would prefer one in person. When I have to show up, I'm fully present mentally as well. And that just keeps you engaged, it keeps you motivated, you're around other people doing what you should be doing, and so it keeps you involved. If you're having a hard time finding motivation for your own work, you could also volunteer to be a second shooter or get paid to be a second shooter for another photographer. Join a group online or in person, and then just put the feelers out. Say, hey, if anyone needs me to help them shoot a wedding or whatever it is that you do, getting involved with them, having them set up the structure and all of the hard stuff, and you just get to show up. That'll help you keep involved with shooting, keep you motivated, and keep you from just kind of sitting back and disengaging and not getting anything done. If you're struggling with more of the office side of things, billing, invoices, the day-to-day minutia of just getting things done that you need to do for your business, you could use a tactic called body doubling. And that's when you just surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing. I did not invent this term. There is some scientific research. You could look that up yourself by looking up the term body doubling and mirror neurons. And basically just being around other people doing the same thing makes you copy them. It makes it a little easier to focus on what you're doing. So if you find yourself in your home office trying to do your billing and invoicing and you just keep looking at your phone, or you can't focus, or you can't get it done, go to another place where people are getting that type of work done. It could be like a public workspace, it could be a library, it could be a coffee shop where you notice people are getting work done. Just being around other people doing work will make it easier for you to do the work. I share an office with Tony. We used to have separate offices, but I found that us just being in the same room, working at our computers, watching him being calm and completing his work can kind of keep me focused and help me get that boring stuff done. I really don't like paperwork. The number 3 thing that we're likely to struggle with is organization, structure, routine. The good news is we're really creative people. We can take a bunch of ideas that seem random to other people and connect them to whatever problem needs to be solved. We have really great ideas for photos. We're interesting, we're weird, we're artistic. All of that stuff is great, except for when you just need to get some boring routine things done. I found myself like sending invoices in like 10 different ways, like different invoices to different people. You can Venmo me, I'll send you an invoice, I'll show up at your door. It doesn't need to be that complicated and creative. Find the places where you can just make things simple and boring and routine and do that. So have the same invoice ready, have the same contract ready for every single client, have the same pricing page for every single client. That way you're not trying to reinvent the wheel every time you work with a new person. You have all of that boring stuff set up, routine, and ready for you to do the same way every time. In fact, I find that I have to make a list of how to get things done just so that I can stay in my routine. So every time I edit a video, I have a Google Doc that says what to do when editing a video, and then there's steps 1 through 10. Open it up, put the files here, make sure the sound is in dual mono. All those little details our minds are likely to overlook. Just don't be afraid to write them down to make your life easier for your future self. Hook them up, write down your routines, write down to-do lists, and make it easier. And if you need help, don't be afraid to ask somebody who's good at it. There are all sorts of services that provide contracts and invoice forms and things like that. You might have a friend that will let you use their invoice form if that's hard for you to do. Like, I find ADHD is so weird because you might find it impossible to make your own invoice form, but you can do these huge complicated things that other people can't do. That's okay. Don't worry about the things you're not good at. You can get help and you can find ways to deal with them. One way I've struggled in the past is like the start to finish of actually working with a client, like contacting them, telling them your pricing, setting everything up. And my sponsor, Squarespace, makes that really easy because they have pricing pages, so you can send all of your clients to the same place. They have a place where you can have a password protected gallery for them. So once you finish the shoot, upload them to the same place every time. You don't have to worry about, sending them SD cards or a thumb drive or anything. They'll just be there. They have a way that your client can pay, so you don't have to figure that out. And then they have galleries where your clients can order prints. So if you have everything in the same place for your clients, it creates consistency for them and for yourself so that it's making this process easier for you. If you want to try it out and see if it works for you, you can get a 14-day free trial, no credit card needed. Just go to squarespace.com/Chelsea, use the coupon code Chelsea to get 10% off and set that up and see what you think. You could even have a place where they could download the contracts and things like that. So you can make your life a little easier by having everything organized in one spot. And thank you, Squarespace, for making this video possible. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, because this is kind of overwhelming, right? We're talking about setting up lists and finding routines, and you can feel like you're always struggling and never doing what you're really good at. And so it's really important that you don't let all of your weaknesses overwhelm you. You don't want to spend so much time focusing on what's difficult for you that you overlook your strong points. And so you really want to nurture your creativity and make sure you leave room for you to play and have fun. When you're a person with ADHD, you are naturally creative, and you have to make sure you're always giving yourself the time and the environment to nurture that creativity so that you can do the best work possible. And one way that you can do that is by making time to play. And when I say play, I mean basically do whatever you want. Write music, write poetry, paint, go fishing, go hiking. I like to go out into nature. That calms me down enough where I start thinking really creatively. I also have little routines, like every morning I write 3 free-form pages of just ideas. It can be the dream that I had, it can be the anxieties I have about the day, but usually it leads to me thinking of a new photo or something, and I have this creative outlet. So don't forget to engage that part of yourself, because that's your strong point, that's your superpower. You have to feed it, you have to take care of it. This might also mean you kind of get more in tune with yourself and figure out when you're having your best ideas. For some people, it's in the shower. So maybe you make that a priority, that you get that time to take a shower and you relax and you have a routine and you have a notebook on your vanity or something where you can write down any ideas. So just be very aware of when you're doing your best creative work and make sure that you make time to let it repeat and happen every single day. Okay. One thing that I struggle with that I don't think a lot of non-ADHD people realize can be a problem is hyperfocus. And that's basically finding something that interests you and focusing on it for a long time, obsessively, deeply, all-consumingly. And I know that you all know what I mean. It can be your photography, or it can be you want to know how to make Gouda cheese, and now you're watching videos about it for 2 hours. But for me, it's been in the past my work, my business, my photography, and it gets to the point where you have blinders on, you're so focused, you're neglecting everything else in your life, right? You're working late nights, you're forgetting to eat, I've definitely done that, you're forgetting to exercise, you're forgetting to take care of yourself, and though it feels really good because you're finally being productive sometimes, you have to make sure that you make the time to take care of yourself. So if you right now are in one of those states of hyperfocus where you're consuming every piece of photo information you can find, you haven't called your friends in weeks, your mom doesn't know where you are, you're eating cereal for dinner, remember, you have to take care of yourself. So set up a schedule for yourself, set alarms so that you remember to eat if that's a problem, remember to bathe, remember to change your clothes. These are all things that probably sound crazy to non-ADHD people, but we can get intense, okay? I built my entire business during a multi-year bender of hyperfocus, and it was exhausting and you risk burning out. So take the time to enjoy other aspects of your life, to go out with friends, to do other things, and to set boundaries with yourself. One of the ways that I do that every day is I walk my dogs every day for an hour in the middle of the day. It breaks up the workday. It makes sure I'm taking care of my dogs. It gives me time to kind of process and relax and think about all the things that I've been doing, and it's good for me. So, chill, take care of yourself. I think with all of these, with ADHD, you want to get the help of professionals, right? I'm a photographer. I don't have the health information. I just have my experiences to share. And I know it's difficult, and I wanted to make this video so I could let you all know you're not alone. It is possible, even though there are all of these challenges, we can overcome them. There are strategies for making them easier, and you can be a great photographer even if you're struggling with ADHD. So thank you so much for watching. You can put in the comments what coping mechanisms you have. If you have any tips for my rusty social skills, you can put them down there. And thank you, Squarespace, for making this video possible. If you want to try it out, if you want that pricing page, a place to put your contracts, your client galleries, and all of that, you can get a Squarespace for free today for 14 days, no credit card needed, so you don't have to remember to cancel. That's always a problem, remembering things. Just go to the link down below, squarespace.com/Chelsea, coupon code Chelsea. It's just that easy, and I'll see you next time.